right? Okay, so 2 to the power of 3, that's an indice, right? 7 to the power of 4, right? Do you all know what I mean by to the power of? Right, okay, so if I, before we start writing that, if I had something like, an indice is something with a power on it. So indices, 2 to the power of 3, that's an indice, right? 3 to the power of 7, that's an indice. X squared, that's an indice, isn't it? Right, okay. And we can make anything an indice, right? Okay, if I had, yeah? I'll tell you in a minute. 5, if I just had 5 on its own, 5 on its own is actually 5 to the power of what? 1, isn't it? 5 to the power of 1. Right, so anything's an indice, isn't it? All you have to do is put it like y on its own is y to the power of 1, isn't it? Right, so anything can be written as an indice, right? Okay, so what we can do is, if we're dividing, multiplying, dividing indices, there's shortcuts, okay? So if I had 2 to the power of 3 multiplied by 2 to the power of 4, something like that. 2 to the power of 3. What's 2 to the power of 3 mean? It means, what's it mean? 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. Agreed? 2 to the power of 4, what would that be? 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. Agreed? Right, okay. And I could work that out, and that would be 8. Right, and working that out, that would be 16. And 8 by 16 is 6, 8, 48, 128. Okay, and there's my answer. Right? That's a long-winded way to go about it. So what the laws of indices are going to give us shortcuts to do these. Okay? Right. So the first shortcut is exactly for what I've just shown you. So this is laws of indices. Right? Okay, it's not a whole chapter that I'm doing because I've some of the chapter done, right? But it's in chapter 14, right? Okay, and it's just laws of indices. Is that big enough for you to read?
Yeah. Will we write it down now?
Yeah, write it down now. So write down number 1. Just write down number 1 and stop. Okay, so I'll give you a chance to write the division then. Right, so I want to talk about multiplication first, so I'll leave you write it down and then we'll talk about it. Sorry, what's the what? The dot means multiply. Okay, I didn't put an X sign, okay, because you'll get confused then and think it's an X, right? So the dot means multiply because everything here is multiplying. Is that okay? So the dot means multiply.
Excuse me, please, Jamie Lee Cosgrove to reception.
Is that 2, 4 or 2, 9?
2 to the power of 4. So write as far as here, girls, and stop writing then. Okay, I want to talk about it before I get you to do the next bit, because it's confusing if you do it all together. Okay, so get as far as the line, stop writing then. Okay, so these laws are actually in the log tables. They're in the log tables on the algebra page, right, okay, which is on page, I had it open, there it is. It's on the algebra page, which is on page 21 of the tables. Now, the thing is, if you don't know what I'm talking about, right, as in if you haven't seen it before, you won't know what it means, okay, right? This is the way it's written in the log tables. A to the power of p multiplied by a to the power of q is a to the power of p plus q, right? So I just had it there a minute ago. 2 to the power of 3 multiplied by 2 to the power of 4.
Excuse me, please, if all the second years could make their way to the chapel for assembly now with their teachers. Thank you.
So 2 to the power of 3 I worked out to be 8 a minute ago. 2 by 2 by 2, yeah? 2 to the power of 4 is 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, which worked out to be 16. 8 times 16 worked out to be 128. Is that right? Okay, here's the shortcut, girls, right? If you have two indices and they've got the same base, and what I mean by the same base is, right, okay, see the same base means they're both 2 to the power of, right, okay, so 2 to the power of 3 multiplied by 2 to the power of 4, the shortcut says that is 2 to the power of 7. 3 plus 4 gives me 7. See the shortcut? And guess what? 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 is 128. Right, which is what I got a minute ago. So it's just a shortcut. Is that right? Okay. 3 to the power of 4 by 3 to the power of 5. What would that be? 3 to the power of 9. There's your shortcut. Okay. So instead of turning them back into numbers, right, as in 3 to the power of 4, instead of turning that back into 81 and 3 to the power of 5, I haven't a clue what it is. Right, okay. But it's 729, I do know. Right. So, and then multiplying 243 by, or 81 by 729 is really hard. 3 to the power 9 is your answer. Job done. Is that alright? Okay, right. Just don't write down this bit now. Right, this is just me saying the bases have to be the same. So if I had something like 3 to the power of 2 multiplied by 2 to the power of 4. Is there any shortcut for that? No, there is no shortcut for that. Right, you have to turn 3 to the power of 2 is 3 by 3, which is 9. 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 is 16. So you have to work out 9 16s, and that would be 144. Okay, so if the bases are not the same, there is no shortcut. Is that right? And don't write that down because that's not part of the notes, because there is no shortcut for that. Right? Are we okay? Right, number 2. Write down number 2 now, and then I'll talk about it. Okay, so the shortcut is if you're trying to divide powers. So if you've a to the power of p divided by a to the power of q, right? You know the way you added the powers to multiply? Well, you subtract the powers to divide them, right? So 2 to the power of 3, 2 to the power of 5 divided by 2 to the power of 3. What would that be? 2 to the power of? No, 2. What would 2 to the power of 8 be if you multiply them? But when one's over the other, it's asking you to divide them, isn't it? So the rule for division is you take the top, take away the bottom. So 5, take away 3, which is 2. Got it? This one. 7 to the power of 4 divided by 7 on its own. First off, 7 on its own is 7 to the power of what? 1. So what's the answer? 7 to the power of 3. Is that okay? Right. And again, you need to, if I had 3 to the power of 2 divided by 2 to the power of 4, is there a shortcut? No, there is no shortcut. Why? Because this is 3 to the power of and this is 2 to the power of. This is called the bases. The bases has to be the same. So it has to be 3 to the power of divided by 3 to the power of something, right? Or 2 to the power of something divided by 2 to the power of something. Are we good with that? Right, okay, so there is no shortcut if the bases are not the same. Are we good with that? Right, 2 rules so far. Right, okay, so quickly, before I, where's my blank? I'm out of blank ones. Hang on a minute. Oh, there they are, they're right alongside me. The desk is too big, I can't find anything. Right, okay. So if I have 3 to the power of 2 multiplied by 3 to the power of 3, what's the answer? 3 to the power of 5. Right? If I have 2 to the power of 7 multiplied by 2 to the power of 4, what's the answer? 2 to the power of 11. Right? If I have 2 to the power of 7 divided by 2 to the power of 4, what's my answer? 2 to the power of 3. It's division, so you're subtracting. 7 take away 4 is 3. Tricky one. 3 to the power of 3 divided by 3 to the power of 7. What's my answer? 3 to the power of minus 4. Okay, it's always the top take away the bottom. So 3 take away 7 is minus 4. I'll get to what 3 to the power minus 4 means in a minute. Okay, is that right? Okay, but it's always the top take away the bottom. And you can have a negative number up here, that's allowed. I'll explain in a minute what it means. Right, okay. Just one more little complicated one before we go. So if I go 2 to the power of 5 multiplied by 2 to the power of 2 divided by 2. Okay. So do on top of the line first. So 2 to the power of 5 multiplied by 2 to the power of 2, what would that be? 2 to the power of 7. And then I want to divide that by 2 on its own is 2 to the power of what? 1. So 2 to the power of 7 divided by 2 to the power of 1 is 2 to the power of 6. Is that right? That's as complicated as it gets so far. Don't worry, it picks up. Right? Are we okay? Right? Ready for the next rule? Right, next rule is raising a power to a power. Right, so again, write down as far as the line, and then I will talk about it and finish it up. Okay, so don't be trying to get ahead now, because you're just, the information won't stay in your brain if you put too much in at any one time. So raising a power to a power is a to the power of p, all to the power of q. It's pq. What am I supposed to do with them when they're written alongside each other? There's no sign. So what's that mean? No. If there's no sign, they want you to multiply. Yeah, if there's no sign, that means multiply. So you multiply p by q. So whatever that number is by that number. So 2 to the power of 3 all to be squared. So that's 2 to the power of 3 all to be squared. What's the answer? You multiply these. What do you get? 2 to the power of 6. Right? 3 to the power of 3 all to the power of 4. What would that be? 3 to the power of 12. 3 by 4 is 12. Are you all with me? Right, okay. If I have x to the power of 3 all to the power of 5, what would that be? X to the power of 15. Okay, is that alright? So raising a power to a power, you just multiply. Got me? Rule 3, sorted? Right, okay. Rule 4. So if you write it down, then I'll talk about it. So anything to the power of 0 is 1, right? So 2 to the power of 0 is 1. 7 to the power of 0 is 1. 100 to the power of 0 is 1. X to the power of 0, 1. So it doesn't matter what is to the power of 0, it's 1. And if you forget that, put it into the calculator. Can you all put that into the calculator? Actually, do you know where the to the power up button is? It's X, this one, with a little coloured in box on it. So if you were to put in 7 to the power of 0, right? So you type in 7, then you type in this box, and then you put 0, and then you put equals, right? Is that okay? Are we all able to do it on the calculator? Yeah. Yeah, anything to the power of 0, it doesn't matter what it is. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. The number 1 is the answer. Right? Okay? Are you all with me so far? Right, okay. Next one I want to talk about is number 5 is this negative indice. What the hell did I mean? You know, a minute ago we got 3 to the power minus 4, right? Okay, you can key that into your calculator. Key that into your calculator and tell me what you get. 3 to the power minus 4. Put it into your calculator and tell me what you get. 1 over 81. Do you get that? Okay, so how the hell did they come up with that? Okay, girls, if they're just numbers, you can key them into your calculator and press equals. But a lot of the time they put an X in, so you can't put it into your calculator. Do you know what I mean? So we have to learn the rules. I'm just teaching you with numbers. But don't say, oh, sure, I don't need to know these, I'll just put it into the calculator. It's not always possible, okay? Because they put letters in there. Okay, so negative indices, again, I'll give you a minute to write it down and then I'll talk about it. Right, okay, and this is how it's written in the log tables. So in the log tables it will say a to the power of minus p is the same as 1 over a to the power of p, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to play a game of upstairs, downstairs, right, okay? So if it's negative and it's upstairs, you bring it downstairs. If it's downstairs and it's negative, you bring it upstairs and change the sign, okay? I'll show you what I mean here, right? Okay, 2 to the power minus 3, right? That's upstairs. Would you agree? Yeah. Right, okay. So what you do is you bring it downstairs and make it positive. Change the sign. See that? 2 to the power 3. You with me? Now, there's nothing left upstairs. I can't have nothing. So what will I put? 1. Okay. So 1 over 2 to the power of 3 is 1 over 2 by 2 by 2, which is 8. And that's your answer. Okay. So the one I asked you to do there a minute ago was 3 to the power of minus 4, wasn't it? Okay, so that's upstairs, isn't it? So what you do is you bring it downstairs, so you move it and change the sign 3 to the power of 4. There's nothing left upstairs, so you can't have nothing, so you put in a 1. And 3 to the power of 4 is 3 by 3 by 3 by 3, which is 81. So that's how the calculator got 1 over 81. Is that right? Okay, so if it's negative, you can move it, right? And sometimes if it's positive, you can move it. Like you might want to do, if it was 1 all over 4 to the power of 3, I can still move it. It doesn't have to be negative to move. It's downstairs at the moment, isn't it? So what I can do is bring it upstairs. So if I brought that upstairs, what would it become? 4 to the power of minus 3. And there's nothing downstairs, so you can put in a 1, okay, if you want. Is that okay? I rubbed out the last example I had written down. What was the last example I had written down there? 1 all over 3 to the power of what? Minus 3. Okay, just because you have it written down. Can I? We're all okay? Right, okay, 1 all over 3 to the power minus 3. It's downstairs. So what do? I bring it upstairs and make it what? 3 to the power of plus 3. Is that okay? And then 3 by 3 by 3 is 27. So that's 27 over 1, which is just 27. Is that okay? Right, so negative indices, they don't mean a whole lot until you move them and make them positive. Because we can't work out a negative indice. So why would you move it? Because you can't work it out until it's positive. So I couldn't work out 3 to the power minus 3. I don't know what it is. Okay? Right? So you have to make it positive before you work it out. Okay? And as I say, in the exam, there'll probably be a letter in it to stop you putting it into the calculator. So it might be x all over minus 3, x to the power minus 3. That's upstairs. So you move it downstairs and make it x to the power of plus 3. And I've nothing left on top. So where there's nothing, they mean a 1 there. Isn't that right? By the way, when you have x on its own, there's a 1 understood to be in front of it. Where there's no number, it's always 1. Okay, 1. 1. No. Right, okay, are we good?
Is that the answer?
Yeah, that's the answer. The end. Right, that's number 5. I might take a break for a few minutes, right, and we'll see. I'll give you a few of these to go. There's 1, 2, 3 more rules to go, but I think we'll practice some of these ones first, and then we'll get back to them if they all go well. Okay, so okay, so okay, see this one here, I didn't do an example with this, but I'm going to just look at that. Is that focused or is it a bit blurry? No, it's okay, is it? Right, see this one? 9. It says express as a single number to a power. So what they want me to do there is write 9 as 3 to the power of 2. Is it? 3 to the power of 2. 3 to the power of 3 is 3 by 3 by 3, which is 27. 3 to the power of 2 is 9. What would I write 25 as? 5 to the power of 2. What would you write 27 as? 3 to the power of 3. What would you write 32 as? 8 squared is 64. 2 to the power of? 4, yeah. 2 by 2 is 4, by 2 is 8, by 2 is 16, by 2 is 32, 2 to the power of? 5. There's no button on the calculator for that, that's why God gave his fingers. Okay, it's to do your indices. Okay, so you have to go 2 by 2 is 4, by 2 is 8, by 2 is 16, by 2 is 32. Is that right? So it's why we have fingers, right? It's to do the indices, right? Okay, is that right? So the piano players, no, that's not why. 100, 1,000. Anyone tell me? 10 to the power of? 10 to the power of 10 would be 10 with 10 zeros at the end of it. So 10 by 10 is 100, isn't it? Multiply by 10 is 1,000. So 10 to the power of 3. What about 400? Anyone know? 4 to the power of 10. No. 4 by 4 is 8. No, it's not. 4 by 4 is 16, by 4 is 64, by 4 is, yeah, you're never going to land on 400. There's no button on the calculator. What square to give you 4? 2, wouldn't it? So 200 by 200 would be 40,000. Okay, try again.
200 multiplied by
Say that again.
2. 200 multiplied by 2.
That's not a power though, it has to be a power. 10 to the power of? It's 20 to the power of 2. Right, okay, 20 to the power of 2. 20 by 20 is 400. That's a really hard one. You won't be asked anything like that, okay? You'll be asked the easy ones like the 9 and the 25 and the 27. And normally, if you are asked, they're normally powers of 2, 3, or 5. 2, 3, or 5, normally. Is that okay? So, don't worry about the 400 one. Right, okay, I'm going to ask you how am I going for time? I've only 6 minutes. So do you know what I'm going to ask you to do? We just did number 3. So I'm going to ask you to do 1 to 9. Right, 1 to 9, and I'll put it onto Teams there. It's on page 327. So page 327, 1 to 9.